Hey guys, what's up? It's Dani B. You are tuning in to Meet Me for a Lunch podcast. Let's talk about it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Meet Me for Lunch podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jelena Burgas.
DJ Los Live.
I'm Boogie Bugs.
And today, for lunch, we have the one and only,
The lovely
Mrs. Dani Berry.
Hello.
Welcome
Thanks for
to
having me.
Welcome. How are you today?
I'm so good. It is so good to be in here and see what you've got cooking up.
Hey.
Awesome.
I missed you, yo. I haven't seen you since March.
I missed you. It's so good to see you sitting up and not yelling at me doing burpees.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, everybody, Dani, she has been a fitness professional for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Her resume includes Zumba, CrossFit, and you also taught kids gymnastics, right?
I did. So I actually got started in kids gymnastics. So I've been a trainer for 10 years, but I'm only 26 years old. So I started coaching.
Talking to the mic a little bit more.
I
Talking to the mic, yeah.
Like a little
You
closer.
go, just get a little closer. There you go. Perfect. All right. You can put her mic a little bit up, too.
Yeah.
There you go.
We good now?
Yeah.
All right. So I started, so when I was 16 years old, I started coaching gymnastics. And I was still competing at the time. So that the way that would kind of roll out was like you would go in, do your practice, I'd go do my cartwheels, and then I'd go teach kids how to do cartwheels. And that was my favorite job I've ever had.
So at 16.
16.
Wow, that's crazy.
16. Yeah.
That's
after school
crazy.
gig.
After school, yeah.
What was your job at 16?
I worked at a sneaker store.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
Yes.
shit.
34th Street, Dr. J's.
Dr. J's.
Shout out
Boogie
to
used
them.
to steal all their stuff.
Oh my
Jeez
God.
Louise.
Wow. Don't.
Boogie used to steal all their shit.
All right, so this is the disclaimer, ladies and
Boogie
gentlemen.
used to steal all their shit.
This was many
Allegedly,
years ago.
allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Thank you for the
All
record.
his shit. It's okay. Now he's a podcast host. He's Gucci.
We good.
What were you doing at 16?
After school program. So I only worked in the summertime. My mom didn't let me work during the school time just because I was focused on basketball. But summer youth, I work with kids, and I still do. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's a sports coordinator for middle school.
yeah, middle school and high
so
school.
cool.
Middle school and
Yeah.
high school.
Those
So
are rough ages, man. Those are some rough ages.
Yeah.
What did you do at 16?
at 16, I'm trying to think.
AMC.
No, that wasn't 16. What I was doing, I can't speak about. I'll be honest with you.
It was no illegal activity. Let's just throw that out there.
You know, it was a little crazy. But I'm here now. I changed my life, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what's really about. But yo, let's crack this open. It's Sunday.
Yes,
yes.
We're gonna switch it up a little bit. Usually I don't work on Sundays. I'm like kind of off, but we making it work because when you have a passion,
Yes, sir.
you make it happen.
Talk
baby.
that talk.
So
Let's talk about what kind of wine is this right here.
So this is a 2006 Conundrum. It's a wine from California. It's actually not even that crazy. It's like probably like $20.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's cheaper than your lip gloss.
There you go. My lip gloss is popping. My lip gloss is fresh.
Yo, she cutting my ass, but the secret to success is lip gloss, bro. Like, you know, your lips don't get dry.
Touching my lips and shit.
Yo,
Get you right.
You
We
gotta
gonna get
keep
you right.
I'm straight, yeah.
You gotta keep applying chapstick.
I feel like everyone listening to this, though, needs to hear it so that these women that are listening can be like, you hear that? $22 on some lip gloss? You hear that? You heard that?
You hear
Right
that,
there?
baby?
Yeah, I
You hear that,
spent
baby?
$22 on lip gloss. Everybody calls me bougie.
But they are
It's
fabulous.
worth it. It's worth it. So yeah, it does cost. My lip gloss costs more than the wine.
They're the
but
perfect pairing.
yeah, I like this wine because it's like good for like brunches. It pairs well with like salads. It's kind of sweet, and you know, Boogie likes sweet.
Yes.
Shit.
So we're about to set the tone in here. We're about to set the
Love
mood in
that.
here.
Yeah. So let's start with
This is the latest brunch I've
That's how
ever
we
been a
like them
part
sweet,
of.
right?
Oh, so I grew up in Chicago, and in Chicago, like, brunch is a really big thing. But we do brunch at like 11 a.m. So like when I moved to New York and I found out that you guys do brunch at like 4 p.m.
A little later, yeah.
This has been an adjustment. So
we had one of our guests was Miguel Plaza, and he's like the OG of like brunches. He kind of like made it popular in New York.
That's cool. What a fun job.
It was like the best shit because it's like it was a fun job. You go to brunch, you get drunk, and by 6 o'clock you home.
Yeah.
Vibes. So you can make it to work the next day.
Facts.
But let's
Hopefully.
let's get into a little bit about
Cheers.
how
Wait, we gotta cheers this.
Yeah, we got
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.
Salute. Eye contact. Eye
Careful with the
contact.
laptop, please.
Oh, that's true. So one thing about like when you cheers, this one of my OGs taught me this. You gotta look eye contact, or else that's bad luck.
Baby.
Eye contact.
You dig?
Sweet wine, sweet lip gloss.
You gotta make that tap, baby. That's right.
There you go.
That's pretty good. That's pretty brunchy good.
Right?
Yeah.
Very crisp. Some melons, some grapes. All right, cool. So let's get back to this. So 16, you started working in gym. You was a gymnastics trainer for kids. How old were the kids?
They ranged from so it was like preteen. So this was I worked with kids who were like 3 to 12.
Okay.
I definitely have my preference. I like kids that are like 3 to 6. At like 7, 8, they start to learn attitudes, and like the second that I start getting like the nose and like the hand on the hip, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you back until you're 18.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out.
And you know, like now that you mentioned like 3 to 6 years old, like how important is it for children to know about like fitness?
It's not so much about them knowing about fitness. Like this is the type of stuff that I live for, right? Because a couple things. Like one, I'm so grateful that I got to work with kids from the start because of 2 big things. One, like I have never met in any other scenario or any type of person that you could get to be so excited about something just by changing the inflection of your voice and offering up stickers.
Yep.
Like there will never be anything in your life that is as smooth as that. You're like, you want to do some burpees? And they're like, yeah. So that was great. And then second to that would be learning to explain stuff. Right? Because like as an adult, you know, we kind of go about our lives and we're like so caught up in like our own headspace that when you're talking about something, like you're trying to get somebody to come to where you're at. Okay, you can't do that with a 3-year-old. Good luck. Like it won't work. So when I started out in fitness, like getting to work with these kids that were so young, like I had to constantly adapt and change like how I was communicating.
At
so
16, that's great
understand.
that you like caught up to that. Like that's crazy.
I think sometimes you kind of realize that you're doing that type of stuff without like actually being mindful about the fact that you're doing it, just because it's like you're, especially if you're oriented in the way of like, all right, I've got a problem, like what's the solution? You're just going to keep searching for solutions in order to get things going rather than being like, man, when the stupid kid, just do what I'm telling you
kind
to
of
do.
have to look. No, but the reason why I asked is because when I was a kid, my stepfather, he was big on fitness. So I feel like because he taught me about like pull-ups and jumping jacks and stuff like that as a kid, it kind of like it helped me with just like just finding myself and finding other ways to like burn off some energy.
Absolutely.
So I think that's very important for kids because I have siblings, right? And like he taught all of us about fitness, but like me and one of my brothers were really like into it, and one of my other brothers wasn't, and we're completely different. So like I think it's very important for like parents to like teach their kids like some workout regimens, like some disciplines and shit like that. Like I got lucky. I don't know if you guys were like working out like 3 years old and shit like that.
Nah, I wasn't working out, but another thing, I know you said parents to show them, but also putting them in certain classes. If it's karate, if it's, like you said, gymnastics, like, you know, if you pull your kid into that early, they get that habit from early on, you know?
Yeah, I think that like nowadays in 2020, like one of the biggest things that I see, and kind of one of the biggest gripes that I personally have with fitness is that, and like the kids is kind of a really great example. When you look at wellness and you look at fitness in its entirety in health, right? You're talking about having a healthy mind, a healthy body, a healthy spirit. Those 3 things have to be intact for you to have health and wellness. So what ended up happening is you see this a lot, especially in fitness. Like we get really wrapped up in like working out, right? I got 20 pounds to lose. I got to teach my kid how to be athletic so they can get a scholarship, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter what that looks like or sounds like. We got to be body strong. We got to be body strong. We got to be body strong. Okay, so that's priority 1. Priority 2 from that becomes mind strong, right? You got those coaches who are down your throat, like, I need you to show up for practice, and if you're bleeding or dying is the only time you're not leaving.
Right,
and you're like, okay. So, you know, that's the second thing. Now you got to have a strong mind.
Yeah.
You got a strong mind, you got a strong body. In your experiences, going to gyms, being in sports, even like maybe friends, family, whatever, have you ever experienced like any coaches in your life or any fitness professionals talk about like spirituality strength, being soul strong, having a strong heart, what that looks like? Right? It doesn't ever come up. So the thing that I love about kids and what I love about kid fitness, right? So when you go to coach children, like when you're designing a workout, and that could, like if you're teaching gymnastics is a great example. Let's say that day I want to teach a kid how to do a handstand. So when I'm constructing that class, like that class has I have to set the tone. I've got to set the scene, right? This isn't about a bunch of kids coming in and just flailing around and all of a sudden we figure it out. I got to make sure that the music is set a certain way, the lights are set a certain way, my voice is a certain way, my presence is a certain way, right? Because I need to establish authority without terrifying children.
Right.
So then from there, like these kids come in, you got to be able to read what's going on. They might be a little crazy. They might be like a little tired. You got to read what's going on and then go from there, right? So now you're kind of teaching kids how to be, actually it's like teaching them mindfulness. Right? So if you're really tired and you walk in and now all of a sudden, like, I'm going, Jaylina, how are you? Are you so good? Like, oh my God, what's going on this week? You're going to be like, oh, all right.
That's how you got me at the fucking gym.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, I used to, whatever, all right. So let's
She's
go.
like, I would see her. She'd walk in and be like, Jaylina!
Yo, dog, like she's like the fucking coolest person to like walk in and like want to work out. Cause like, all right, so I'll get to like that story a little bit later, but gymnastics and then Zumba. Were you doing that in Chicago? Or?
Yeah, so it all kind of like funneled into each other. So like with these kids, my sole purpose in working with them actually had more to do with teaching them how to be actually truly become the experts of their own body is a great way to put it. Because I wanted a kid to be able to come to me and tell me like, you know, gymnastics is a really, really, really delicate sport in a way. Like the graceful strength is kind of unreal. These girls are like unreal strong, but 1 inch in the wrong direction and you're falling off of these apparatuses. So I needed to be able to have these kids tell me like, hey, today I'm feeling tired. Like my legs are really tired. My head's really tired. I don't feel with it. Like, and to be able to actually identify like what's going on with how you're feeling, like that's a step that gets missed in a lot of people's like health and fitness careers. I mean, not oftentimes do you go into a class as an adult and someone's like asking you how you really are. Really. So, you know, that it started with that. And then with these kids, like I learned there's just so much importance in giving them the space to learn who they are. Right. And like, that's what it is. Being a trainer isn't about me. At the time, it wasn't about me telling you this is how you're going to become a level 10 gymnast. This was about me teaching you, like, who are you? How do you feel? Where do you feel strong? Where do you feel confident? Where do you feel scared? Where do you feel weak? And to be able to communicate that and pull that out of a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
That drove my ass so far into fitness. Like I went right from that and I actually ended up in personal training and teaching Zumba on the side. And like at the time, like that was the Kool-Aid everybody drank. Okay. So I've got like these looks at the table and like, yeah, me and my old ladies in Chicago were like twerking in the mirrors and like smacking our own asses. It was so fun. But it was the same thing. I took what I was learning from these kids and brought that into starting with adults. Because with children, you have this really unique opportunity of being the first one in their life to kind of set the tone.
Yes.
And dealing with a blank slate has like it has its positives and there's like so much beauty to that. When you deal with adults, you're adding another layer of complexity to not only now do I have to like help teach you how to listen to yourself and like learn about who you are, but now I also have to like help you unlearn all of that shit that you've done. So that's where that like spiritual, to me, like where that spiritual strength comes in. Like I meet a lot of adults who are body strong, mind strong, but their spirits are trash. You know who's got a really strong spirit? A kid. A kid is like, the world is possible. So I was just grateful because that kind of brought me through like, I was a personal trainer. I was teaching Zumba and that went from that to coaching. I was doing bodybuilding. I had athletes and then I fell into CrossFit. And then from there was working like one-on-one with a lot of higher profile clients. So people who had these like really tight deadlines, musicians, actors, etc. And so like I've had a really unique experience because my fitness journey wasn't typical to most people. I feel like most people kind of come in, they go get their certifications, they want to work with sports teams, they want to do, you know, all this other stuff. And I just wanted to keep like leveling up on like my ability to work with complicated ass people. Like I was like, screw these other certifications. Like I already know how to teach you how to squat. Like I can bring you through a squat progression. I've been doing this now for 10 years. Like I know. But when you come in and like you're a new person and I'm like, ooh, I want to know like, where is your train wreck and where did it start? And how can I help you?
The thing about you, and this is something that we had mentioned in another episode, like customer service.
Yes.
It's like customer service. Like, I don't care who you are. And like this woman would make you feel like you're the strongest person and the weakest person at the same time when you go fucking work out with her. Let me tell you. So from Zumba, how did you end up doing CrossFit?
So I got run over by a car.
Yo, this woman is crazy, dog. Like,
so I got run over by a car.
In Chicago or New York?
Well, actually both. So I've been hit by a car twice.
So that
and they
happened
both
and
caused...
you was like, CrossFit. Let me do
Yeah. How does that connect?
All right.
How does that inspire you?
Here's what happened. So I was... So I got to set the scene, like, right? So we're talking like Chicago. This is like 2014. I've got like, I dyed my whole head purple because I went to art school, which made no fucking sense. But I was out there. I was like, I was literally Danielle Blueberry is like how that kind of rolled. Everyone was like, oh, her hair's blue. Like, so I was teaching Zumba and I decided that I like there was a lot of people at that gym who like you walk around with like the water jugs and like you had your roided out bodybuilders and I was like, I totally want to do that. And so I started like prepping for a bodybuilding show. And so one day I like woke up to go get my coffee and I was like standing at a street corner like drinking my coffee and it was a one way and I'm looking at like on the oncoming traffic because it's a one way. So like, you know, I forgot to look both ways. So I was standing behind this minivan and they just put the car in reverse and backed over me. And then drove off.
What?
Yeah. So you know, like when something like real crazy happens, you get this like massive adrenaline. So my ass stood back up, went back into the coffee shop, and I was like, my coffee got spilled. And they were like, are you okay? Do you need to call 911? I'm like, no, I'm fine, but I have my coffee.
That's the shit that be getting people tripped up. If you get hit by a car, stay on the floor, let the ambulance come, and then you can sue, okay?
That's true. That's true.
That's the shit that get motherfuckers caught up.
But Jaylena knows, like, I would kill for my coffee. So, like, I don't know. You can't take the caffeine away from this girl.
So, yeah, continue.
So, after that, I realized that I had a dislocated hip and, like, a bunch of other injuries. And, you know, at the time, like, I went and saw a doc, and that sports med doc at the time was pretty much like, you're never going to be able to pick anything up from the ground. You're never going to squat below parallel. Wow. And if there is, like, something I can guarantee about me as a person, tell me not to do something. And I will press that red button so fucking fast. So I was like, okay, bet. And I found heard you not squatting below parallel. Got it. So I met someone who was a retired D1 football player and like he was an Olympic weightlifter. And so I started working with him and he believed in me for some terrible, tragic reason. And I was like, this is a good idea. And he's like, this is a good idea. And so I learned how to Olympic weightlift from him.
Wow.
That's all you need, though. You need one person to believe in you.
And you got it. Exactly. And it was so cool. It was so cool because, like, as you know, like, Olympic weightlifting, like, you're talking about pulling barbells from the floor. So you have, like, multiple ways that you can catch the weight. Like, you know, you can catch it in the squat on the bottom in the front rack. You can be catching it overhead. You could try to pull it up and catch it virtually at standing and then jump it up overhead. Like, there's so many different ways to move this bar. But there's one thing that is very certain. You cannot be a weak person or have any kind of question about who you are and what you can do when you step to that bar. And that's what I learned from him. And so that alongside with like my own fitness background, working with some PTs, physical therapists and like all this other stuff, we managed to go from you're never going to squat below parallel again and you're never going to pick anything up from like a hinge pattern to competing at a pretty high level in CrossFit in a couple of years.
Yo, guys, fuck competing, right? Dog. Let me tell you something. All right, let me just go into. Can you explain what CrossFit is, and then I can get to the stories.
We definitely
explain it.
So,
to the show.
CrossFit is defined as constantly varied functional fitness done at a high intensity. What that like jargon pretty much means is that CrossFit is a form of fitness that virtually brought together these different components of endurance training, gymnastics training, weightlifting training, and then every so often you'll see like bits and pieces of other things like rowing, etc. So CrossFit kind of came together, and they virtually wanted to replicate all of these functional movements. So functional movements are something you replicate in some way, shape, or form in your life elsewhere, right? So a deadlift is the same as you having to like pick up your couch to vacuum underneath it. So it's considered functional. So CrossFit wanted to help people fight off chronic disease, fight off age, fight off all of these, health and ailment problems that they might have that are keeping them from being healthy, and help them break through that barrier. So they created this program that it looks different every day. Some days you're going to come in, that workout's 3 minutes. Some days you're going to come in and that workout's 60 minutes. They never really look the same. They will always have a component of some kind of gymnastics. So maybe like some pull-ups. Then there's always going to be some kind of endurance. Like maybe you're jumping over a box or you're rowing, and then there's some kind of weightlifting component. So maybe you're doing some clean and jerks. And the rep scheme's always going to be changing. And there's like benchmarks to kind of keep you in line with that. So like sometimes you'll come back to do the same things. Like, hey, I want to know what your 1 rep max squat is, right? Like that's a benchmark you'd come back to so you can measure your progress throughout time. The thing with CrossFit is that there's like 2 different segments of it, right? So you're kind of like standing down like at a fork in a road. There's what we call the GPP. So that is your general population. And those are like, that's everyone who just wants to look good naked. That's everybody who wants to come in and be like, I just want like some abs. Like I don't have to have all 6, but like maybe 4.
No, right? I want all 6. I want all 8.
I'm not settling. So this is literally like your 99%.
Serious.
Very serious about abs. So those are your people who come in and like that's your everyday. And those are the people that, we want to make sure that we're training you for like longevity of life. Where CrossFit kind of got like a little bit tripped up was the focusing on the sport. So the sport itself is where when you guys like click through ESPN, like that's what kind of pops up. So when you're looking at these athletes that are up there, like you are looking at athletes that are training between like 4 and 8 hours a day. Like they're doing 2 to 3 sessions a day. Their whole life is surrounding this. And they have like, it is incredible how just inhuman these people are. Like being able to back squat 550 pounds and then run a sub 5-minute mile, you're talking about like way less than 1% of the population. So CrossFit created a sport where like you'd go into these competitions, you have no idea what the workouts are going to be. It could be 3 days, and you kind of just compete against each other, trying to win each different event, get as many points as you can in your favor, and then at the end of the weekend, whoever has the most amount of points wins whatever it is. So, there's some kind of like really cool thing about the fact that it's so fluid, right? Because CrossFit's a little bit undefined. And it's undefined because it's borrowing all of these different components from like these different activities. But there's difficulties with it being so fluid, right? Because like if you try to explain it to somebody who doesn't understand working out, that it can get really confusing really fast. And that I think is really intimidating to people.
So I'll put it this way, like when you would do the classes, for example, let's say me and Glitch were partners. She'll pair you up with somebody or with like a team. Let's say I was rowing. Glitch will have to be lifting some weights, and then we'll switch for like a
10 minute or so.
Yeah, and then while I'm like doing some pull-ups, he's doing some squats. So that's how kind of it worked.
So that's different from I'm going by when I used to go to the gym, right? Like, let's say me and Joseph is partner up. I'll do something while he's...
Called you Joseph, bro.
Boogie, I'm sorry. Boogie. sorry. He's my brother. He's my brother right there. Listen.
It's so good.
My brother Boogie.
Hello, it's nice to meet you.
So like if I'm doing pull-ups, he's waiting for my set to finish for him to start.
Exactly.
So I like how
that dynamic.
So so like you could slow up. Like she'll be like, "Yo, you cannot. You're not done with your burpees until they're done rowing for a minute."
Right.
So it builds your shit up. So like you're kind of like, "Yo, bro, come on, hurry up, dog. Like I'm tired of these squats." Right. So it was cool. But then CrossFit, this is how we came to like know each other, which is awesome. Cool. I'll give credit to 300 Entertainment. Like they're like one of the best places to work at because they take care of like. They make sure that your mental health is like
shout out to our 300 people.
Shout out to 300.
And love.
They paid for all of the employees to be able to go to this CrossFit gym called Solace. That's where you worked and that's where I met you. Yeah,
that's
dog.
Awesome.
And that's not a cheap ass fucking gym.
So let's now that you bring that up, let's talk about that. Like What was it that you created as Soulless that made it so special that made it sell out? Like,
oh my
let's
God.
talk about that experience.
So I absolutely cannot take any credit for this.
It was a team effort.
It was a team effort for sure. Absolutely. We are always responsible for like what I lead and what I create, right? That's my art, is my class. But I came out from Chicago to New York to come work for Mr. Kenny Santucci.
Shout out to
Mr. Kenny Santucci, Mr. Beautiful, if anyone's ever watched the challenge. So he was the general manager of Solace. So Solace in itself was a strength and performance facility, and we use that term intentionally because we didn't want people to feel like they were locked into certain things, right? Like CrossFit has its own vibe. Right. And if you don't vibe with that, like, you're not going to go to that gym. So we wanted to break it down to like what we were doing and like the nuts and the bolts. And that was the important stuff, right? That's make you strong. That's make you better. It's make you healthier. It's make you have a better heart, better lungs, and be able to do some fun shit, right? Like a handstand. So that was kind of our premise. The gym itself had 2 floors. It was the most beautiful, beautiful space I've ever seen in Manhattan.
Yeah, it's nice.
R.I.P. to it. It did close. But I know. COVID, man, it's going to change the space of fitness for sure. Yeah, for sure. So, I hope that space like turns into something else just as equally beautiful. But, so it had 2 floors. The top floor had this program called Body. And that program is what Kenny developed. And that program was meant to be, it was a functional fitness. It was meant to be interval style, but it was meant to be community based. And so the beautiful thing about this program, atypical from any other fitness setting you will ever walk into, is that it was entirely on the coaches. Like he didn't pressure us to do anything within what he thought. He trusted us. He hired us for a reason. And he was like, I trust you in your programming. Just go. So I always ran the night classes, which is why my 300 crew and me became like this.
Gotcha.
And so basically what it looked like is you would come in, the class was 45 minutes, and I had your ass for 45 minutes. You were doing whatever I wanted. And so like we would always start people on these warm-ups on the bike just so people could have time to come funnel in, and like this is where you'd set the tone of the class, right? Like bump up music, like have something that feel good, relax, like go introduce myself to everybody I didn't know, chit chat. We loved that. We loved that. Then we'd move into some kind of strength piece, right? Because I want to make you stronger. So sometimes it was weightlifting, sometimes it was gymnastics, sometimes it was just the worst thing I could think of in that moment to like make you hate me. And we would go through that, and then we would go into a partner workout. So a lot of emphasis on the partner workouts because that was like a Kenny special. That was a Sala special. That was a Body special. And the reason we were so big on partner workouts is because of community. You are going to work out 33% harder if you are working out with someone next to you. Yeah, There's just no questions about that, right? Like if you're benching and he looks at you and you've got like 225 on the bar and you're on rep 5, he's like,
you're going to go harder.
Yeah.
Can you do 6?
Fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. Fun fact. 33%. You heard it here.
33%. I can't actually source that, so don't fact check me. Anyway, but it's true. Like, and that's such a big piece of it. And like, that's why I'm a good coach. And like, Jaylina can attest to this because I'm a good hype man.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm going to carry your ass through this whole thing. You are never going to feel like you are alone because I know that it sucks. It sucks when you're on rep 5 and someone's like, do rep 6. You're like, no, fuck you. So I want to be right there with you. Like, we've got this. And if I can't be there, I'm going to make sure that you're with somebody who's going to push you, even if they don't realize it. So it was always really fun for me because I would like set people up intentionally, right? So like Jaylina and Glitch are a great example. Like, I would intentionally do something where I'd be like, all right, so one of you is going to get on a rower. And you're going to row for a minute, or like you're going to row for 10 cows, right? Or something like that. And then the other one of you has to hang on the pull-up bar for as long as it takes your partner to get through it. And you would look over and these two would be like, go faster.
Yeah, we'll be fucking mean. We'll be meaning to each other. Yo, bro, for real.
Like, come on. Like all these other kids, like it was just the fun. So for me, I'm laughing about it.
Remember when you used to pair me up with Asian Joe?
Oh my God. Yes.
Joe, what's up, Joe? Shout out to Joe. What up?
Bro, what the fuck? I've been hanging from this fucking pole for too long.
He turns into like a cursing bomb when he gets upset.
God.
He's just, F this, fuck that.
But it was great too because unlike, it sounds like that experience, it almost sounds like you'd walk away from it and be like, yeah, fuck that. But what ended up happening is like, we just had this environment where everybody would come in and you'd like give your partner shit for taking too long on something. And you were in the grid of it together that then all of a sudden it became addictive and everyone wanted to keep coming back.
But I'll tell you this, right? So 300 launched that program. I went, and you wasn't there yet. I didn't really like the coach, and I went home, and then what made it worse too is that I did the whole workout. Ego, let me go through it. I hadn't worked out in years. So, you know, that's like, yo, as soon as I walked out of the gym, my spaghetti legs. I don't take medication for shit. Right. I gotta be dying. I had to take medication. I couldn't bend my knees, dog. Like, and I used to live like, remember my apartment in the Bronx where you used to have to go downstairs. So to go downstairs, you gotta bend your fucking knees, bro. Luckily, I went on a Friday because I was in bed Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
But you made it special though, because what I think what the thing was for you, like for example, like my day to day was, okay, wake up at 6 a.m, be at the office 9:30, 9 o'clock. We're meetings and making sure everything is right, blah blah blah, and then 6 o'clock, I'm like drained, and then I go to the gym like pushing myself because you know you have to go to the gym, right? And then you have this fucking sunshine. Hey, what you doing? And what's up? And fucking kiss you on the cheek. Yo, get your ass ready. Go and come back outside. Let's fucking kill it.
No, that's dope though. Honestly, on that same note, like, sorry to cut you off, but that's dope. Like, kudos to you because you mentioned it earlier when you were working with the kids. Like,
she used
kudos
that
to you.
tactic.
Like, yeah, you it's kind of like you develop your passion very early on. So very early
not
on.
too many people find that.
Yes, and that's very awesome. And like, I remember visiting Glitch and Jelena at the offices at 300, and like
it was dead
at the evening time. No, like right before going to CrossFit, and they were excited. And I'm like, it's rare to me because, like I said, kudos to you because for you to have that energy, for you to have that positive vibes all the time, because not for nothing, like I don't know the numbers, but you could say like 50% of people that do work out are not looking forward to it. Right. They know that they're doing it because they have to stay healthy, they have to stay fit, but it's not something they look forward to. So now that you mentioned that the way she is, her spirit is like her energy when you walk in that room. I remember them just being hyped for going to your class. They're like, yo, we're about to go to CrossFit. I'm like, you guys are hyped for this. Like,
can't be late.
Yeah, like, you know.
And it would be so cute when they would stroll in late too. Because like I'm really loud. Like they would not, you couldn't come into my class and if I knew your name, I'm yelling that shit from 500 feet away. And so they would try to come in like 5 minutes late and like hold their coats up or their jackets and like run to the locker room.
Late rule. There's a late rule and shit. You can't be fucking around.
So it was so much fun.
But you know, one thing that I will mention too, and I won't mention his name, is like there was somebody at 300 that actually had cancer, like stage 3 cancer, and he beat it, and he thanks CrossFit. He was like, what? He's like 45 or some shit.
So he's in his 50s. So I gotta like
crazy.
This man that she's talking about in particular. Like I have to give this a moment because this is truly and wholeheartedly like one of the most important people in my life to me. And I'm so grateful for the fact that like I think I got to New York at like 24. And when I got there, like he was one of the first people in my life. And he came into my life just as this like nonchalant, and the amount of like love and support and everything that like I needed in that moment to just survive and to like start kicking ass at life and become the trainer that I was in a city like this, because this city will eat you up and spit you right back out.
No joke, baby.
And I came in and I was terrified, and I was, and this man in particular, like he was my biggest hype man. Like what I want to be for other people is what he was for me. And so I kind of came in and he was like, anything that happens, like I got your back. Because, it's gyms and there's always drama and there's always shit. And he always had my back. And he was always my biggest hype man. He made sure that like you guys always came to my classes, and he made me feel so supported.
I didn't know that.
He really, I would go to coffee with him all the time.
That's
like
awesome.
he was, edit that out. He was one of my mentors for sure. And like a lot of the opportunities that I had, some like the artists that I got to work with were because of him. And, but the thing in particular about him is something that like I hope to embody in my life in some capacity. And it's this idea of like graceful strength. Someone walks into a room and they're big and they're strong, they're super vascular. You're like, yeah, I get it. You're fit. Great. But there's something about someone when they come into a room and they have a little bit of a stronger presence, right? But they don't you can't read their story. And then you learn about them. You're like, I watch these people do fitness, and like fitness is one of the most vulnerable things in the entire world, right? Because you step up to a bar, you step up to do a skill, like you either are going to make it or you're not.
Yes.
And you are putting your whole fucking heart on the line in that moment. And for some people, like that could really break you, right? You see people that like lifters are a great example, like bodybuilders, and they go and they miss a lift and they're punching the rig or the wall. Right? That's vulnerability. That's coming in as raw and real as it gets, because I'm showing up and I'm like, I'm here and this is me doing the best that I can. And if I fail, I'm going to feel that. Right? And there was something about him when he came into my life, and like I realized this watching him. It's that you might not be the best person, right? You might not have the best lift. You might not be the strongest person in class. Hell, you might not even be the youngest or anywhere near it. But to watch somebody show up every single day, hell or high water, right? And to show up for themselves to the best of their ability, right? I'm not talking somebody who's like going over the edge, right? You can tell someone where you're like, yo, I need you to take a break, like take down, take five. No, I'm talking about someone who shows up and you can tell that they are showing up for them. They're there, they're putting their heart into it, they're giving their best effort. And then he took it a step further. This man is sick, or he was sick, and was tired, and he's got kids, and he's got jobs, and he's got all these things. And so he starts bringing in these other people, and he's doing the same thing for them. He's making every person around him feel like you show up as you. Team. And you know what? I don't care if you do 3 calories on that bike. I don't care if you do 100 calories on that bike. We are on the same damn team, and I'm going to stand here for you, and I'm going to be here for you through all of it. And that kind of graceful strength is like, I mean, earth-shatteringly profound.
And like, I'll be honest with you, I've had people, actually like one of my mom's husbands, he died from the same cancer that he had. So when he expressed that he had stage 3 cancer, I was like, fuck, he's not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it because my mom's husband, he was 38 when we found out that he was 39, and at 40 he died.
Yeah.
That's young.
Young man. Yeah. But the difference between him and our friend is that our friend worked out.
It's energy.
It's the spirit. It was a spirit because his spirit was just unlike other. And like you said, he was a mentor to you, and a lot of people in the company could say that he's been a mentor for them as well. Now I just get a little emotional about it because I saw the process. You know what I'm saying? And it was just and then he beat it, and guess what? He was back there at the gym going ham, bro.
And I'll tell you,
crazy.
Wow. So eerily enough, like if we me and him have such a great relationship, but it was fun for me to watch. Like he is 51 years old, and he was kicking all of the 20-year-olds' asses in my class.
I can't do that bar shit with the feet all the way at the top.
Oh my gosh! And he would turn around and look at you and be like, "Stop saying that! You're just stop it! Stop it!" But I'm like, no, straight up, like you are very fit, and like that's aside from your backstory. And so it was just really cool. But he was such a great example of me and like what my purpose in fitness is that spirituality strong, and like what that means and what that looks like, right? Because it impacts the people around you, and that'll completely dictate where your health is going to go. So, this is a great example. You go show up to a class, right? And if, let's say I wasn't teaching, let's say it was someone else and you didn't know them, and you go into this class and the instructor's a little bit more quiet. Right? They don't have like a real large presence, and then you go into the class, and let's say somebody in class had a really bad day, right? Let's say someone worked on Wall Street and just shit tanked. They come in and they're like, man, I can't believe I lost all this money. Like, fuck this, fuck that. Like, I don't want to fucking do bicep curls. And like, you might have had a great day, and you're going to be standing next to them, and all of a sudden you're like, man, I don't want to fucking do burpees. You're right. Yeah. And you find yourself like picking that up off of them. And then you go about your day, and then all of a sudden you start seeing like all of the negative stuff, right? You start seeing the painful points in the workouts. You start seeing the annoying people in class. And then all of a sudden you're focused on the fact that the door keeps opening and the air is getting cold, rather than like how your workout feels on that bike. And there's no, like, yes, you have some responsibility in that, but it's more about just identifying and like calling attention to like how we impact each other, right? Like we all have kind of been in this space where it's like, I'm going to worry about me, myself, and I, and you don't realize like the weight that you carry and what that's doing to the people around you. Fitness is a great example of that. You come into that same class, right? We got our friend. You come in, you got me teaching. You're going to come in, you're going to hear your name from across the room, and I'm going to jump up and be like, how are you? Tell me about your life. And then I've got like, oh my God, my addiction to Post Malone for like the longest time in that class. I would play the same,
take this fucking
same
shit
like
off.
10 songs. I'd like have that blasting, and that shit would get me so fired up. I was just like, let's go. And then he would be in there, and then he would be like, hey, you'd be on the rower, and you'd be dying. And he'd be like, you're fucking killing it. Way to go. And then all of a sudden you're pulling harder.
Yeah. But speaking about that, right? Like, what's the connection between mental health, emotional health, and physical fitness, right? Because I'll tell you this, right?
Yes.
You see how hard I go in the gym. I'm toned up everywhere. But my freaking abs, dog. Like, what the heck is going on that I don't have abs?
I got, you know what I'm saying? I got the thing, but I don't got the...
Man, put your arms down, man.
Oh my God.
You my brother. You
I know some people, like, I've heard of stories of people like dealing with like emotional trauma with like parents. And then once they like overcome that, they lose a lot of weight.
Yeah. So a lot of things. One, I would say like most people like nowadays, a lot of us don't even understand what trauma is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like what our interpretation of what that meant is way different than what it actually is. Right? That's as simple as like just having an emotionally absent parent. And like, I'm sorry, did anybody have both of their parents emotionally available? Like, I don't know. So we all kind of carry some kind of childhood trauma. And you know, like I'm not a doctor, and through my own experience in fitness and like my own experience with within my own nutrition courses and training clients and such. One, it's genetic. So
Talk about it.
Some people are gonna have like they're just naturally gonna have an easier time with having like a 6-pack, a washboard, abs, be super
like
thin. Girl, I worked so hard for this. And like even the shape of the ab can change. Like you know how some people got like pillow abs and then some people have got it looks like real flat.
Yeah.
Like it's all genetic. You can't change that. From there, then you've got all these other things going on. Like, how is your stress? How's your sleep? How's your water intake? What's your nutrition really like? You know, like, are you feeding your body what's good for you? Are you not? And here's like the crazy shit is that when you guys look at a label, right? This is why like nutrition coaching gets really difficult. When you look at a label, there is up to a 25% margin of error. How are you
Margin what?
of error?
Oh, okay, got
Meaning, if you look at that label and that tells you that there's like 9 grams of sugar, there's up to a 25% margin of error on that. So,
meaning that it might be off.
yeah.
So
meaning
it could be more.
incorrect. It could be more, it could be less. You have no way of knowing how your body's actually going to absorb that and where it's going to store it or what it's going to do with it. So nutrition gets really tricky because people's brains always want to go to this like, all right, I'm going to get on a really strict diet. I'm going to like really pull stuff in. I'm going to like force myself into doing X, Y, and Z. Okay. It works for a lot of people. It does. There are trainers who still coach that way. There are clients who find success that way. And like, hey, calories in versus calories out. That kind of math is super simple. My approach, very, very, very different.
Right. What is it?
I am a really, really strong component of teaching this mind-body connection because what happens is if I can teach you how to sit still and just to listen to your body, right? So I primarily coach like gymnastics movements and handstands. So it's the same thing with that. When nutrition clients and my handstand clients, you got the same gig. You're going to sit still and you're going to start paying attention to how you feel. I want to know like, how does your body feel, right? Like if you sit down for a meal, when you go to drink the water, how does the water feel? Then from there, like, how does the chicken feel as you eat it? How do the vegetables feel? How does dessert feel? And you should, like, as you kind of start practicing that, you start realizing, like, how these different foods carry this different energy. It's going to make you feel a different way. Well, then once you kind of get that understanding, then you can start becoming the expert of your own body because your body's trying to tell you, like, yo, we're on the same team. We want the same shit. Like, I understand I might have cravings, but that means something else. It doesn't mean that I'm actually craving chocolate. I'm trying to tell you something else.
I'm dehydrated. Give me some water.
There's been so many times that I eat something and I'm like, why did I
like that wasn't it?
Like, but I was craving it. So it's like, it's that battle, you know?
That's why you have to have the mental capacity and know your body.
Right. Well, it's also just like, yo, just listen. Just listen. And we all have the ability to do that. But we have so much shit going on in our lives. Like, our phones are going crazy, news is going crazy, the world's going crazy. We're so like caught up in it that we don't know how to sit still and listen. Yeah. So once you kind of get there, then you can start realizing like, hey, I'm craving chocolate right now. That means that like my magnesium is low. So like I need to go do this other thing. I need to go eat some more red meat. Like, and I can, you can start to feel that. And then it changes into your training, right? If you get really good at meditation, this is a great example. If you get really good at meditating and you start feeling like, meditations, guided ones are always like, okay, I want you to feel your toes. I want you to feel the way you feel against the ground. How does your skin feel? Like, when you can start articulating how that feels, and then I go to put a barbell in your hand, you're going to have no issue guiding yourself in the correct way because you can feel it. It's not about me telling you. It's not about me like forcing you into the position and being like, memorize this. Mm-hmm. It's about you learning it for yourself, right? So I want food to be the same way. You want a 6-pack abs? Well, a couple of things are probably going to happen as we go through the process. One, we're going to figure out what it is that like where your disconnect is to where your mental state is and what you want for your body, right? Because you're on the same team. So let's figure it out. Are you not drinking enough water? Are you too stressed? Are your hormones kind of crazy? Are you, what does that look like?
My shits are crazy.
Are you eating crazy foods at night? Like, do you wake up in the middle of the night and eat a bunch of cookies?
So this is when it gets tricky for me, right? I don't eat meat.
Yeah.
So
you are a proud vegan.
I used to be a vegan for like 2 years. I've been a vegetarian for like I say 5 years, and then these past 2 years I've been a pescatarian.
I love that. I love that for you.
But I think that's part of the problem. Why?
No,
it's not part of the problem. Okay.
So,
but then I seen posts that meat heals. That's
well, so we have to think.
So
of
then,
it.
like, what is it like?
What is the truth?
What's the truth?
If you go outside and you eat chicken, right? Do you think when you put the chicken in your mouth, do you think your body's like, oh, it's chicken, yeah, chicken, or does your body go, oh, there's protein coming in? Let me start working with these protein acids and these amino acids and start doing what I need to do with it.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily like, my belief is like, I'm actually a big component of being vegetarian, being a pescatarian, being vegan. Why? Because I believe in energy. And I believe that like when you're killing an animal, like that animal feels the pain, right? So in some capacity, those stress hormones are going to get stored in the fiber. And then from there, like then you're eating it. Right? There's not, like, you can go look at studies and there's going to be theories and opinions on that. But the issue more so has to do with protein, right? So now it's more of like, let's get more creative with your protein, right? Because obviously there's going to be more protein in chicken than there is going to be in a piece of bread. Like, let's switch it up. Let's figure out how we can get you to that same, and that's where, like, it's just about talking. It's just about learning. It's about, like, communicating. And that's what's really hard. Because in your head, you probably have this opinion of, like, yo, this is what a healthy meal looks like. This is fats, carbs, proteins, right? And most people will walk around and like, all right, I got my chicken, I got my spinach, I got my sweet potatoes. Well, like I'm so honored. Like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored for you for like even knowing that much. But don't be afraid to like ask the question. Like, let's collaborate on it. Let's get more creative. Like, that meal sounds like boring as shit. So let's figure out something else.
Yeah, I struggle with that a lot. Like, I'm like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Why the fuck don't I have abs? I'm tired of eating like a rabbit.
Well, sometimes I think that we just spend so much time
thinking about it, right?
Well, looking at an outside validation to tell us that what we're doing is right, rather than just looking at ourselves and like giving ourselves the opportunity to do it. Honey, you getting abs is well within your ability to do it. You can absolutely do it if you want to. As a fitness professional, I can tell you, ain't always fucking worth it. Like, I didn't love having to do what I had to do to get to that point. Like, my genetics set me up to have a small waist, but like, my fucking butt doesn't fit in most seats. So, like, I could spend every day, like, kind of sitting down, like, how could I change this about myself? Blah, blah, blah. But if it was in the cards, if it's important to me, I'll find a way. It's just how much you're willing to put into doing that. My body wants to be a certain way. So my process is, like, with myself, with my clients, like, I want to help you figure out what's going to make you feel best. Because if I make you feel really good, with abs or without abs, you're not going to care.
All right, so let me ask you this. What about if I want to go to Colombia and go get a surgery and be like, fuck all this working out shit?
She don't even know about it. Let me show you.
Yeah,
let me show you.
Let me just go do it. Fuck all this shit. Well, the reason why I'm saying this is because she about to show you this guy.
No. Did they do a surgical implants?
Yes. Nah, it's not. All right, so this is how it was explained to me. All right, let me show you. You in my DMs now. You hear me? Oh, shit. Hold on.
You go down.
Okay, right. So look at this doctor, right? My son right here. Let me turn my brightness up.
So he's like he's
we'll put it up
sculpting bodies.
We'll put it up in the camera.
Gotcha. Yeah, look at this.
He's like
guy.
literally sculpting them.
His wine is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Oh, look at this guy. Look at how he makes them look.
All right, so I got a couple questions. Like let's just talk about this, like honestly and realistically. Fake boobs.
Look.
Fake boobs, right? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Yes, let's talk about it.
When you're with a girl, right? And you got a girl who's got, like, let's say a full C cup. Full C cup. We got some grapefruits up in here. Okay, if they're real, right, can you tell?
Yes.
If they're fake, can you tell?
Yes.
Okay, how would you feel?
I had both.
If your
I never had fake boobs.
like, as when you have, so, okay, what's your opinion on fake boobs? How do you feel about fake boobs?
Let's go down. Let's go around the table. No, let's go around the table.
All right, let's go around the table.
Let's go around the table. Just go ahead.
They gotta look fine. You can't have some exaggerated shit and your body look like this. You know, you can't look like an ant. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can look however you want, but I don't prefer it. You know what I'm saying? Right. I mean, honestly, I don't give a fuck. They
well,
real,
like,
they
do you not like the ant with the big boobs? Why? Because it doesn't look natural.
I'll be honest with you. I don't care about the boobs, but the fake butt look crazy.
Okay, the fake butt is too much.
It's just like
But is it because you can? Is it because you can tell? Like, there's something that might be abnormal.
Nah, it's just like my eyeballs can't like.
You can't always tell.
It just don't. It don't vibe.
All right, the exaggeration, yes, it's annoying.
Yeah.
But the petite ones, why not, man? They look alright to me. You know what I'm saying?
That's totally valid.
I prefer natural, completely natural.
We all wish we were born with magically beautiful boobs,
right?
But
I prefer natural, but
I'm more of a butt person, but
yeah, me too.
What about you? What are your thoughts on fake boobs?
And a face person.
Yeah, I prefer natural as well, but like I'm not. With that being said, I'm not downgrading the. Like you said, not everyone was blessed with, you know, that beautifulness, so to say. But with that being said, I've had like a family member that has had the surgery, and like they kind of just wanted to like feel better about themselves and all that. I agree with my co-host here that the exaggeration is just too much.
Yeah.
Like whether it's, you know, ass or that, it's like it's just too much. You can tell when it's fake. It's like sloppy.
So that's exactly what it is, right? So here's the thing: it's not good or bad. It's not good or bad. Yeah. Your body is your body to change. It's your body to do whatever you want. But here's the deal.
And shout out to them.
Not very often can you tell that something was surgically enhanced and it was done like really naturally. Usually you can tell there's something a little bit off. So when you got somebody who sculpted their entire body, right? You got someone who put in the fake boobs, the fake pecs, the fake abs. They cut the V at the bottom. You're going to look at it and you're going to be like, you know, some of you are going to be like, oh, I don't care. That's nice. That's nice. And some of you are going to be like, okay, something's off. I can't put my finger on it, but something's off. And here's the deal. My boobs are fake. I've got small fake boobs, right? Who goes and gets a fake chest of B's? Who goes and gets B's? Okay, I did, but this was something that was really important.
But you should look natural.
See, but that's
it does.
But that's what was important to me, right? In fitness, like I could change anything about the way that I looked. If I wanted bigger shoulders, I can do that. If I wanted toned legs, I could do that. I want to grow my butt, I can do that. I can't do enough push-ups to grow boobs that I just didn't grow on my own.
That's true.
So like, hey, that was important to me. I wanted to be like, I'm a jacked, strong ass woman, but like I wanted one more little thing to add in to make me feel feminine. Like a queen a little bit. So I went and did that. But there have been men in my life who like have looked at my boobs and be like, I can tell that they're fake. It doesn't bother them.
It doesn't take away anything from you.
It doesn't take away. It was just my choice.
And to be clear, I'm not against it. I'm just against a little bit of exaggeration.
Well, I think that they're all, it's like kind of like a spectrum, right? Like, and you're just finding what your preference is. So somebody who looks at that and they're like, yo, that's kick ass. Like, I am all for it. If you want to go do those surgeries and that's how you want to roll about it and that's how you want to look, I hope that you walk in the mirror the next day and I hope that you feel so good about yourself. But what's important to you is to have that natural look. If you want to know what your figure looks like I want to be shredded, then that's a whole other conversation. And those are two different types of people.
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. I have a very important question.
Yes.
And this is something we kind of touched on a little bit, but my question is, how did you discover, like, because like I said, we touched on it earlier about like some people don't look forward to working out or going to the gym. So, and like I said, you might have discovered it very early on. So can you let us know and like any advice that you have for the listeners out there? what is like? How did you discover that passion? Like, you know, like I said, like when they come into the gym, the clients they feel welcome, they're happy, they're excited about working out because you're greeting them, you have a smile on your face. So where did you discover that passion and like the connection between mental health and working out? Because a lot of people honestly still struggle with that still to this day. Like a lot of people don't even know that, you know, that those two are connection. Right, exactly. So can we touch base on that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is like probably my favorite question that anyone has ever asked me ever.
No, it's important. It's very important.
Yeah. And I think that it's really, really, really important to like initially call out that that's a constant thing that you're always coming back to address. It's not like a one and done. Like I've been hearing a lot in pop culture, like everyone's talking about like happiness isn't a destination, right? Happiness is the journey. Fitness is kind of the same, and like mental health and improving it, that is all in that same journey. And like what originally got me into fitness isn't necessarily what kept me and what brings me back more times than not. And I like love that you asked this question because in 2020, I think the biggest thing for most people across the board was having to like actually look in the mirror and start realizing and identifying and dealing with like maybe some of your own mental health issues.
Absolutely.
And where you were struggling. So, you know, like I got into fitness way back when I was like 3 years old. So I started gymnastics like really young. I didn't have a whole much of a choice. But when I started, you know, when I became an adult and like like I went to art school. Like the plan was not fitness. The plan was never fitness. You know, I wanted to be in music. I wanted to be in film. Like I wanted to do all these other things. And I stayed in fitness because there was a two-fledged thing. So for my clients, there is a moment of magic that exists. And this is like my favorite thing to talk about. So I'm going to get like really geeky. But like, and this is why I like teaching gymnastics. So there's a moment of magic that happens when somebody does something that they never fucking thought they could do. Yeah. And I get it every time. Like someone will come in the door and they'll look at me and they'll be like, I cannot do a handstand. And you're like, okay. And they're like, I can't do it. I've never gone upside down. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. And then, you know, 3 months down the road, all of a sudden they're like, okay, I think I'm ready. And then you go another 3 months down the road and you've done like all these baby steps, right? And then there's a moment. And I'll be standing and like it always happens in the gym and like I'll be watching. And like you kind of watch this person like mentally prepare themselves. And then they go and they're like, they're shaking their hands and they're getting all excited. And then they go and they do it. And they come down. And every time it's like, they like look around for a second, and that's my fucking cue. That is time to shine. My voice will break decibels because there's something about watching somebody in that moment of just like, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah, that's dope. Wow. But
so cool.
I love that shit, and you made me love fitness a lot more.
You are energy. You are energy.
But let's get into like some fun story times, right?
Oh my God.
Story time.
So I'll tell y'all this was why I was laughing earlier. Yo, I hadn't seen her go to the gym for like 2 days or 3 days or some shit. And then she comes back to the gym with like some like arm thing.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Where have you been? She was like, I broke a rib. How many ribs did you break?
2.
I broke 2 ribs. I'm like, oh shit. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry for yelling at you. I just missed you. Oh, you're okay? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, I'm cool. So that she has this thing at the beginning where she writes down like the workout so that, you know, when you're doing it, you can see it and shit. But then she writes it down, but she shows you the workout. Bro.
It's all about showing too.
Nah, dog. She got 2 broken ribs with a thing on her arm.
It's no joke.
And she gets on the bar thing. And she's like,
serious business.
And then you do 10 of these. Bro, her toes are on the bar at the top with just one arm, bro. I'm like, oh, shit.
We need a round of applause for that. Yeah.
I fucking fell in love with her, bro.
Oh my God. Don't do this at home. If you break your ribs, just fucking heal.
Why the fuck didn't you?
Because I don't listen to myself. I don't know. I don't know how to take my own advice. Yeah, that was great. That was a good time. Here's what happened. So
it was a crazy ass, like how she broke her ribs. That's why you got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful
when you work out. Because I recently just injured my back too. Because I bought like these new sneakers. Running sneakers. I don't run.
I know. So
and I was lifting some weights.
She's going hard.
You were lifting in your runners. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that wasn't a good start.
There you go.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you for
us.
having me.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this was so fun
to catch up.
It was so good. Thanks for inviting me to lunch.
We learned a lot about fitness.
I'm so grateful.
And we're looking forward to like training with you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, make some noise. Make some noise.
Meet me for lunch.